back. The man behind the mask. And he's after you. The man behind the mask. And he crawls out of his hole. I'm recording. Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Now, this was released in 1986. It's starring Tom Matthews, Jennifer Cook, and David Kagan, and was written and directed by Tom McLaughlin. Man oh man guys, Part 6, typically, you know, the running joke is like as the movies go on, they get, worse and worse. And while that does hold true for a lot of series, and this one is no exception, we're six deep, and I gotta say, I genuinely like to love all of these movies so far. Obviously, I grew up with them. There's a lot of nostalgia here. But even looking at it through a modern lens, the modern, film nerd lens, yes, obviously these movies aren't perfect, but goddamn, they're still they're still fucking great. Unfortunately, this is gonna be the last one that I have mostly positive things to say about. After part 7, it does start to dip a little bit, but even I, being the Jason fucking freak that I am, I can still find positive things to say about those movies, but it's not nearly as much. But let's just stay on that positive high while we can with part 6, guys. I really like this movie, and they take some different turns that I typically, when a horror franchise goes in the more comedy, territory, typically I don't like it very much. The Child's Play franchise is a very good example of that. With 3, I'm a big fan of the first two, and I like 3 a lot, but he starts to get a little fucking crazy with the one-liners and shit, and then, proceeding on, Chucky just becomes a little bit of a joke. But we're not talking about Chucky, obviously. But a lot of franchises do that though. Halloween 5 with the fucking the cops, and there's a lot of franchises that dip into comedy and they don't do very well. And I gotta say, guys, I think Part 6 probably is one of the better franchises or better movies that would dip in the horror comedy a little bit. I just think the way it's portrayed is done so well. The jokes aren't so upfront and in your face and just obnoxious. Just the way the comedy is handled in this movie, I would describe it more as just light-hearted, dark humor. For the most part. Obviously, there are some corny fucking jokes here and there, but for the most part, I think it works great. And I think it really benefits this movie, because I think if this movie with this premise were to take itself 100% seriously, I think you would have had. I don't think I would like it as much, but it's so the premise itself is so outrageous that I think it not taking itself so seriously really benefits it. Also, we have Alice Cooper here, which I just kind of jotted down in my notes. Obviously, that's a big plus. Again, it's starting to become more pop culture-y, a little more. Again, it doesn't take itself so seriously. This is a very fun, energetic horror movie, and I fucking love this movie. Part 4 is still my favorite, just as far as a pure horror film, but Part 6 is up there, man. And I'm gonna get into a lot more reasons why in the spoiler section, but what you need to know right now, if you don't want to be spoiled, is that this one is very, very, I'm not gonna say lighthearted, because that's not the case at all, but it's a very fun horror movie, which, if you know me personally or just from watching these videos, I'm a big fan of fun in my horror movies. Not all the time necessarily, but this is one of the better fun horror movies. Let's see here. Anything else with the spoiler section? Oh, I don't really consider this to be a spoiler, or at least I'll keep the spoiler aspect out of this, out of this section at least. I think this should have been the end of the series. I kind of talked about it before about how as series go on, inevitably they do start to dip in quality. I think just with how this movie wraps up, I think it could have been the end of the series, and no one would have had any problem with it. Bring it back 10 or whatever years later and have a remake or whatever the fuck you want to do. But as far as the main canon Friday the 13th series, everyone has their own interpretations. Some people think it should have ended with 4, which I also wouldn't have minded too much. But I think part 6, just ending the Tommy Jarvis saga, just wrapping it up and having Jason dead, I think this would have been the perfect ending. And obviously, I'm not gonna put that as a negative because it doesn't really impact this film at all. It's just, for future, it does kind of bum me out that it carries on because it just kind of dips for me. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna stop rambling. We're getting to a pretty long spoiler section, or spoiler-free section here, so I'm just excited. Let's get to the spoiler section and let's spoil the shit out of this. All right, spoiler time. Your ass has been warned. Now, we open up this movie again with another graveyard sequence, and right out of the gate, I'm just gonna say it. While part 4 is my favorite movie overall in this series, part 6, hands down, has my favorite fucking opening in this whole series. I love the dark stormy night in the graveyard. It's so old school. It has this real classic feel to it. You get a fucking great kill in the beginning with Jason punching the dude's heart out of his fucking chest. It's so good. And Tom McLaughlin, in an interview I saw years back, I'm sure every Friday fan has, he says that this movie, if you played it in black and white, he thinks it would hold up just fine. And I gotta agree with him, especially the opening. The rest of it, I think, would be fine, but I do, I do think that this opening is just fucking impressive. So they pull up to the graveyard, and we get Tommy digging up Jason. He has to know once and for all that he's dead. And like I said in my Part 5 review, Part 5 is just kind of ignored. I mean, it's not fully like just. There's nothing that would lead you to believe that they're intentionally trying to just, act like it doesn't exist or anything. New actor playing Tommy, though. It says that he's escaped from a sanitarium, which, you could definitely put 2 and 2 together and be like, okay, he got locked up and after part 5 and has just been in there for a little while. And the 2 actors don't look too dissimilar, but I mean, you can obviously tell. I mean, they're different people, but see, I mean, you can kind of weave and connect and be like, okay, part 5 is canon, and I do believe it is canon. I'm not saying it's not, but they just kind of brush it to the wayside. It's really not acknowledged here too much, besides him being in a sanitarium. Anyways, but yeah, and then he digs him up and he fucking snaps and he takes a fence post off of the one of the fence posts away and just snaps that off and starts stabbing at his corpse. And if there was any debate whether is Jason really killed in part 4 or whatnot, when they open that coffin, dude, he is dead as shit. He is deader than shit. This dude is dead. Looks great too. Like maggots crawling all over him, and his body's all rotted and decayed. And this dude's fucking dead. He is dead. And but Tommy just has to go fucking with him, and he stabs him and leaves the damn post in his body. That's where you fucked up, Tommy boy. Especially when it's storming outside, because they go to light him on fire. Lightning strikes and just full on Frankenstein, dude. The lightning and the thunder just brings him back. You get an awesome cheesy ass special effect of the lightning going all up and down his face, and just great stuff, man. I really love it. It's it's kind of funny because in the close up of his eye with a maggot on him, you can tell that they shot that like with the actor standing up because one of the maggots just kind of it's like it's real quick. It's a blink and you miss it thing, but you can tell he was standing up when they shot that, and not laying down because one of the maggots just falls off of his eyebrow. It's a little nitpicky thing. I've seen this movie way too many times. It's my second favorite in the franchise. Spoiler alert for the ranking I'm gonna do here soon. But yeah, man, just a great opening, and Tommy gets the hell out of there. Like I said, that great kill with that great kill with him punching right through that dude, Tommy's buddy's heart, just right out of his chest, man. It's so great, so such a good kill. Um, and yeah, and then we get the the James Bond Jason kind of coming in and slashing the machete and the blood, and it's very obviously it's James Bond inspired, and that's what I'm saying, man. Like this is just a fun slasher film. It's not taking itself seriously. It knows what it is, and it's fine with that. So big props to Tom McLaughlin for just having a fucking ball with this one. Uh, I think it adds to it. I really like it, and I really wish the series would have maintained that tone. Obviously, with like Jason X, it's more than keeping up with that tone. But like Jason Tech Goes to Hell takes itself too seriously, and Part 7 and Part 8 are blah 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 blah. We'll get all to all that shit literally in some cases later. But for right now, uh, this movie's fucking kick ass, man. And that brings me to obviously since we're talking about Tommy, we might as well talk about Tom McLaughlin. Uh, what a great performance. Tom McLaughlin, to me, along with Corey Feldman, that is Tommy Jarvis. I love Tom McLaughlin in this role. I think he's fucking great. Loved him in Return of the Living Dead. I fucking marked out for his little cameo in Never Hike Alone. I love Tom McLaughlin. I think he is absolutely fantastic in this. He hams it up like a motherfucker, and I love it. I think he's great. And he's not the only great character, though. We have some really solid characters. Not like in part 4, there are. I don't want to say there's some duds, because that's not the case. But there are some characters that are strictly there to be a body, to get decapitated, disemboweled, shoving their face through a wall, whatever you want to say. um, but the ones who you could say are duds are still fun. Like they're not just boring. They're not just dull. They're what they're there to do. They do it well. Everyone in this, I don't think there's a flat performance in this film. I really don't. I think everybody took what they were given and they ran with it, and I think they do a fantastic job. Some of the really cool characters that I legitimately like, besides Tommy Jarvis, though, is Megan Garris, played by Jennifer Cook, who is just, on the surface you would think she's just a beautiful blonde girl, which she is. But sorry about that. Anyways, but she's very sassy and she's a very spunky character. She's very witty. She has I think the term I could use for her character is a firecracker. And I think Jennifer Cook does a really good job of having that very upbeat and just energetic performance to match Tommy, sort of, being this like anxiety-ridden mess throughout the film. And I think those two characters, who are like love interests in this, I think they clash very well. I think their chemistry is incredible. I've heard some negative feedback on their chemistry. I don't really get it. I think they're fine together. They don't light the world on fire, but I think it's fun. I think their chemistry with one another is really good. And that leads me to Sheriff Garris, who uh, is a total dick to Tommy. It is Megan's dad, and obviously this guy coming into now Lake Forest Green and talking about how Jason's back and yada yada yada. This dude obviously thinks he's a psycho, which is understandable at first. I think there's a lot of evidence throughout this film, and I think he's kind of foolish for denying that evidence. But I mean, fucking David Kagan's performance as Sheriff Garris is like he's so fun. He's such a dick. He is like such a dick to Tommy, and it's hilarious. And his deputy is also pretty funny too, like just like grabbing him. He's like, "You little turd." It's like just cheesy late, not late '80s, but just cheesy '80s horror acting, and I dig it. That's not an insult, mind you. I think that both of those guys are incredible. Uh, but just those three characters bouncing off one another, combined with a great Jason performance by C.J. Graham. I mean, shit, like I think it's incredible. It's just some really fun characters. At one point, like one of the very first interactions Sheriff Garris has with Tommy, Tommy just busts into the fucking this police office. Why can't I think of the name? Anyways, he busts in the building, and very first thing Sheriff does, just gun, like immediately. It's like, holy fuck, dude. A little hot on the trigger there, huh? But oof. But obviously very hammy stuff, but I love it. I'm gonna stop rambling about it, but damn it, some of my favorite characters in the franchise in this one. And we have kids at the actual camp. I think, yeah, this is the first time that the Friday the 13th franchise has utilized an active camping ground with actual kids there. I think it adds to it. I think the thought of, holy shit, are they gonna have Jason kill a kid? Like, are you serious? Which they don't. They would have never. Back then, it was very rare to see a kid killed on camera. Not totally unseen. Talking about like the trauma films and shit like that. There are cases of it, but for the most part, no. And even when I saw this for the first time, I was like, yeah, they ain't gonna do that. But I think there are some pretty cool scenes with the kids. I'm thinking of the two boys under the bed. It was like, well, what were you gonna be when you grew when you grew up? And like they're just, oh, we're fucked. And I think we're dead meat, and like all that shit. Like the kids that they give speaking lines to, again, do a very good job. And I think her name's Nancy, the main little girl, the blonde, who's she's told to say a prayer. Then Jason's like right up in her face, and she starts praying, and he ends up going away. And I mean, I think she does great. She like legitimately seems terrified when you're a little kid and there's a big ass dude in a fucking hockey mask. Doesn't matter if you know it's fake or not, you're gonna be a little freaked out. So I'm not sure how much of that was real and how much of it was fake, but nonetheless, props to her as well. And now that I'm thinking about it, she's probably like in her shit late 30s, early 40s. I'm not good at math. That was weird to me. All those kids are probably way older now. I mean, no, not probably, they are. But it's weird thinking about that sometimes. But anyways, but yeah, cool seeing some kids at the campsite. And overall, like I said, just great characters, and this film is just fun to me. Like, this is such a blast. When someone's like, I just want to watch a scary movie and get my mind off of shit or whatever. A lot of the time, obviously, I'm not going to put in something like Hereditary or something that's just emotionally damaging. Typically, I'm going to look for a fun one. And Friday the 13th, Part 6, I 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go for that one. It's just a fun kickback, get your mind off of all the bullshit going on in 2020, and just have fun and just watch it with a couple buddies, socially distanced. But yeah. And let's see. Just to wrap up the spoiler section, wanted to give wanted to give out again about wishing that this was the end of this series. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I did kind of spoil it in the spoiler-free section. But come on, Jason's gonna fucking die at the end of it. Come on, really? Like, if you're gonna bitch about that, you're watching the wrong series of movies. Come on, man. But anyways, Tommy versus Jason, Jarvis versus Voorhees. To me, that is Jason's antagonist, is Tommy fucking Jarvis. That's one of the main reasons I wish it wouldn't have carried on. I think having I think Tommy Jarvis is just the perfect enemy of Jason Voorhees. I think those two are polar opposites because they are, and I just think that story that they told between 4 and 6 is just so good. It's so, I'm not gonna say it's crisp or flawless with the actor changes and whatnot, which shit happens, and I think Tom McLaughlin is a great choice for Tommy. I think he's my favorite of the two adult Tommies. But I wish they would have wrapped it up. I wish they would have had a definitive end to this. Jason getting his fucking neck basically obliterated by the propeller. To me, that would have been a fine way to send him off. And it's perfect too. The way they wrote it was so great. You send him back to his resting place. You send him back to the place he originally died. What else do you need? I mean, that's the perfect ending. And of course, Hollywood with the money, they gotta fucking crank out more. And it's a shame. And whenever I marathon these movies, I typically end it here. But for the sake of, having some integrity as a YouTuber, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna carry on, gonna press on. But damn it, I really, really wish that this was the end of this series. But hey, it's still a damn good flick. Obviously, I recommend it more than a lot of the later entries, but damn, like this is a big recommend for me, especially like I said, if you're just trying to kick back and watch a horror movie with your buddies or your girlfriend or whatever, or your boyfriend or whoever. Point is, I think it's a great movie. But anyways, so that is going to wrap up the spoiler section, guys. I'm going to try not to ramble anymore about this fucking kick-ass slasher flick. But, however, we are not quite done. We still have to get into the blood, the gore, the good stuff. We got to get into my kill of the film. Stick around. Friday the 13th, Part 6 does utilize comedic aspects and light-hearted humor here and there within this film. As I said before, it does benefit it. However, it also does not shy away from having some fucking brutal kills. Holy shit. Very fun stuff here. Absolutely. The Carnage candy in this is very good. There's a lot of Honestly, there's no real duds for me in this as far as a kill is concerned. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting something or other, but I mean that's the thing. If it's forgettable, it didn't really stick out to me. So we got some fun ones here nonetheless. Though let's just get into it. Some honorable mentions before we get to the creme de la creme. First of all, we got the triple decap in the in the woods. So there's a how would you say, a workforce, a corporate team, or they say something. It's like the company exec. That's what it is. They're like a bunch of company execs playing like a game of paintball or just some bullshit office trip to boost company morale. That sort of shit. And they're out there and get some fun character moments there as well with some of the different people they have out there shooting each other. But at one point, these two dudes get killed by this woman, and they put their dead fucking headbands on, which is obviously a sign of things to come. And they're just walking, and they're all walking in a row, just three of them, just yada. And then Jason just comes down, machete in hand, who he had gotten from a previous victim, and just 1, 2, 3, just one swoop, just boom, off with their heads. Great stuff. MPAA chopped it up a little bit so you don't get to see any heads falling or rolling or nothing like that. It's very quick, but you can tell this is a fun one. Just a fun, goofy kill. Just 3 heads in a row. Just pop, pop, pop. Always good. Always a fun one to revisit. And then we have the kills in the RV, which are very, very. The kills themselves are really cool. You get Nikki, who gets her head basically shoved through fucking shoved through the wall. Essentially, she gets roughed up a little bit by Jason. Um, fucking oh, what's his name? Court can't hear it. He's just driving it, and he's blasting some Alice Cooper. Like as I previously mentioned, love having Alice Cooper's music in here. Um, and so he can't hear what's going on. She's getting fucked up, and then all of a sudden he just sticks her head right through the mirror, and you see the indentation of her face. So that's a really fun one. Then he comes out with a hunter's knife, and Court's still just bopping along, can't hear him. You get some really, really good shots of Jason just kind of coming out of the darkness and slowly taking out the knife, slowly coming up to him. Some really good cinematography here as well. And, Court sees him, but it's too fucking late. And just boop, right in the side of his head. And then the exclamation point on those two kills would be the RV, and probably the craziest stunt of this movie. An RV just hitting a fucking rock and just going right over. It looks fantastic, and you get probably, it's debatable, there's a lot of good shots, but this is probably my favorite shot of the movie, of Jason just climbing out of the RV and he's just standing there and he's back home. Very, very good shot. I love it. I think it's great. The moonlight's hitting him perfect. Really good stuff. Love the RV kills. Quick one would be the head twist. I think it's, Sissy's head twist. Gets yanked out of the window. Just real quick too, sits her up, boom, just twists her head all the way around and pops that motherfucker off. Brutal shit. And the sound design is also very very crackly, which we will get into crackly here with the kill of the film. But I also want to know something. What the fuck happened to Paula? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Paula was one of the camp counselors, real cute girl, kind of short, not bob, but short, red hair. And at one point, Jason gets a hold of her, and you can tell he killed her, but you can't really tell what happened. But the aftermath, holy shit. The entire, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, the entire room is covered in her fucking blood, and there's no body to be seen, at least from what I've seen. So what the hell, did he just blow her up? What the fuck happened? I mean, I'm curious if I think we would have gotten more of that kill. That might have been my kill of the film, because holy shit, he literally probably just blew her up. What the hell does he have in his utility belt? Does he just have dynamite and he just fucking lit one and blew her ass away? What the fuck? But that was definitely memorable. And but man, I gotta give my kill of the film to Sheriff Garris, man. Has Jason right where he wants him. Jason's on his back, he's down. Sheriff Garris is on top of him. He has a rock, and he's fucking in one of the. This is probably in the series one of the big times someone actually has Jason pretty. I'm not gonna say he's fucked, because it's pretty clear right away that he isn't. But this is one of those cases where Jason's looking like he might be in a little bit of trouble here. But he very quickly gets out of it, and he doesn't push him off. Sheriff Garris is on top of him, and Garris is on his stomach, right? And Jason just folds him, sits up and folds Garris back, and just keeps pushing, and sooner or later Garris's back just, and it's so gross. The effect is honestly very simple, but sometimes that's all you need. And it's just, you get that cracking sound, and Garris is dead, and he's folded up like a taco, man. It's fucking brutal. It's not the bloodiest kill of the film, but it's just so crazy. He literally just folds this dude in half. And man, just a great kill. But you know, guys, that'll do it for Friday the 13th, Part 6. Again, couldn't recommend this one enough. I've decided that, at least for right now, just to wrap this series up as quick as possible. Not that I'm not enjoying it, but I do want to get to other stuff. Obviously, with Halloween coming around the corner, you know, maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But I do want to start getting to other franchises and other series as much as I love Jason. So what we're going to do, instead of doing an independent review in between each Friday, I'm just going to gun it. So next time we're going to be talking about Part 7, The New Blood. And yeah, guys, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too. In the meantime, just keep watching horror and keep taking care of each other. Stay safe. And yeah, guys, it's good to be back. Have a good one. Take care.